Hi there, and welcome to Our Weekly Craft, a source for ideas, inspiration, and fun for crafters. I'm Sarah White, Chief Maker at OurDailyCraft.com, and today I want to talk about crafting a life. It's my 20th wedding anniversary today, and that feels like a big accomplishment, and yet it feels like it's hard, you know? And I know that it can be, and I'm not at all making light of people who have problems in their relationships. But I really feel like it's been really easy for my husband and I to be together and stay together for all these years. And we were together for a while before we got married. And I think that helps a little bit, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about that in a minute. First, I wanted to show you some things that I've been working on. Em doesn't have a head, so this looks a little weird on her, but I've been making these bucket hats out of t-shirts, which is kind of a funny project. We have a local organization called the Transition Closet, where they collect clothing and things for people who are transitioning, and they were gifted a bunch of plain white t-shirts, and a lot of them are really large t-shirts. They were like, well, these are great, you know, we're not going to say no to a donation, but we don't really know what to do with them. It's not really our style of a lot of our clients to want to just wear plain white t-shirts. And so they put out a call on Facebook like, do you want a bag of shirts to make them into something cooler for our clients? And I was like, yeah, I want to make some bucket hats. And so I had maybe 6 or 8 shirts, and I'm making 6 or 8 hats. These are fun. This is a pattern from my friend Orange Betty, which I will link in the show notes, but it's totally reversible. You know, if you had 2 kinds of fabric or 2 colors of t-shirts, you could make a double hat. And it's a really simple pattern, and it took me forever to get started, but they're really easy once you get going. And I love it, and I want to make myself one, and so that's what I've been sewing lately. I'm still working on my bra that I told you about last time. It's sort of more of a tank top this time than a bra because it's longer, as you can see here. I have the one side done, and I'm just started on the second cup, which I'm going to work on while we chat. And it's hot, so I'm not wearing anything handmade today, but that's okay. You know, like I said, I don't want to make light of difficulties in marriages, but I feel like I've had a really easy time of my marriage and relationship with my husband. And I don't know if it's because we were together for so long before we got married, or we knew each other for so long before we got married, or if we're just really like compatible and easygoing people, and so it's worked out for us pretty well. But we have actually been together for something like, well, it's probably closer to at least 25 years, right? Maybe 26 or so. I don't even remember. We've been together since 1996, so whenever that, however long that is. Math is not, doing math on the fly is not my thing. And we've been married since 2002. And we also were married for 7 years before we had a baby, and I think that might have helped too a little bit. Like, we didn't really want kids when we got married, and I changed our minds, which is a whole nother story. My camera just fell down, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't know, like, I wish that I had some advice. And the only thing I could think of was that I think that it's important, and it's been good for us to have interests that we don't share. Like, I craft a lot to probably unreasonable amount, but he's never been into the only, like, he does home improvement stuff, but the only like crafty thing I've ever seen him do is painting miniatures for a role-playing campaign. And that's great, and role-playing is his thing. That's his creative outlet. He, you know, participates in games, he runs campaigns from time to time, and that's his outlet, and that is not a thing that I'm interested in at all. I have done role playing in the past. I didn't hate it. I don't, but it's not like what I want to spend my time doing. I'd rather read a book or knit something or whatever. So that's what I do, and that's what he does. And that gives us opportunities to like talk to other people and be interested in other things. And like I read a lot more than he does, and that's not like good or bad, but like we have things that we do that don't necessarily involve the other person, and I think that has been good for us. And I know that there are couples who like live together, work together, run a business together, whatever, have their kids and are just together all the time, and that's great for them. And we've been together a lot for the past 2 years. My husband is currently at work for the second time this week, and the third time this year, and the fourth time in the last 2 years. So we've been together a lot lately, and that has been okay. We have a big house, so we can get away from each other. I'm not saying we need to get away from each other, but we have space, and I think that that's important too. And I know that not everybody has the privilege of having their own space in their house, but to the extent that that is possible, I think that's really healthy for any kind of relationship. I feel like it's good for us with our kid too, that she's able to go. She has her room, she has her playroom, which is like where her art stuff is, and she's free to go and hang out in her own place, and I have my office and he has his office and we have a bedroom. We have places where we can go to be on our own, to do our own thing, and we can also come back and be together and do our own things, together separately too, because like my daughter's really into the video game Genshin Impact right now, and so she will play on the computer in my husband's office, and so he'll be on his computer doing stuff and she'll be on his other computer doing stuff, and I'll be sitting and knitting and reading or working or whatever. And so having times where you can come together and have times where you can be apart, I think has been helpful for us, in having separate interests, and just the fact that we've always been able to talk to each other, I think is really important. Like we still will go on walks and just talk, and we sometimes go on walks and are quiet too, but we've never like shut down from each other, and we've always been able to share our thoughts and our feelings and our worries and things with each other, and I think that has been really helpful for us too. And like you said, I don't really have any advice on how to craft a life with another person, but I feel like we have been really successful at it, and I'm really glad and proud. Maybe proud's not the word, because I don't know, it's just a thing we did, but I'm glad we're still together, and I hope we've got a lot more years together to enjoy and craft our life together. If you are, I don't know if 20 years counts as being married a long time now. It feels like a long time, and yet it doesn't, because you get to a certain age and it doesn't feel like it's 20 years I was a teen, like I was a kid, a little kid, and 20 years ago, right? No. But I don't know if you are a person who's been in a long-term marriage and you have advice for other people. I'd love to hear it. I don't feel like I have any good advice, so would love to hear what you think. And I totally just messed up my knitting, is why I can't look at you and talk right now. I lost these rows have a slip stitch at the end, and I totally lost my slip stitch off the side. It's fine. I got it now, I think. So this is what I'm working on. I am reading. I finally finished Cloud Cuckoo Land, and I did really enjoy it. I liked it more than All the Light We Cannot See. If you have read that one, I know it was really popular. It won a Pulitzer and all that stuff. Which is why I read it, because it wasn't really, I don't know, the premise of it didn't sound like something I would love personally, and it was, it was fine. It was interesting. I read it on vacation. We haven't talked yet. It's probably for next week to talk about books for vacation. I am sort of famous in my own mind for picking really inappropriate books to read on vacation. So I read All the Light We Cannot See on vacation. I read Year of Magical Thinking on vacation. I have read, books with suicide in it. I have, all sorts of not beach reads on the beach happening in my life. And it's kind of funny at this point. It's like, what inappropriate thing am I going to take to the beach this year? But I may try to do a little better this year, and we'll talk about that soon. But right now I'm reading Crying in H Mart, which would also not be an appropriate beach read. It is a memoir of a woman who has a Korean mother and an American father, and it's about her mother dying and the aftermath of that. And we finally started watching Station 11, which is post-apocalyptic in a way. It's post worldwide pandemic, really virulent flu that kills almost everyone. I think that it's like a 99% of the population kind of mortality rate, and then the people who are left. So it's in part about, what happened to some of the people in the time when the outbreak was happening, and then it's like 20 years later and the people who survived and what they're doing now. And there's a traveling Shakespearean troupe that goes around the country to all the little outposts that survive, and they do Shakespeare. And there's a cult and all sorts of stuff. The book was really excellent. I read it many, many years ago, and I don't remember it that well. I recommend reading it. I do not know if we're far enough away from peak pandemic times to read it right now. It's in the first episode of the show, it's really hard. There's a hospital scene where all the people in the street is crowded in front of the hospital with all the people trying to get in and get help, and there's nothing the hospital can do because everyone's just dying. And that was really hard to watch given our current world situation. And there are moments, because there are flashbacks, so there are moments throughout that are a little heart-wrenching in that way. But even the author of the book said that the series is more uplifting and heartwarming than she would have expected, and she read the book, so that's something. So that's really all that I've got going on. A little shorter this week than normal, maybe. I would love to hear what you are watching, listening to, reading, making, your marriage advice, your having hobbies other than different from your spouse advice. And I hope that you have a crafty rest of your week, and I will talk to you again real soon.